This is a totally digital device. And so off the back, we've got the digital connector that goes out to the TV. We support HD TV, or all the other connections you've got. The resolution here is really unbelievable. One of the unbelievable things here is that we have a hard disk, and so the information about the game will already be stored. You don't have to load it off the disk or load it as you move from level to level.
While I'm not going to be making the original Xbox prototype in this video, or probably ever, let's be real, I am upgrading this direct Xbox to be an even better version of what Bill and The Rock cooked up back in 2001. I installed the Xbox HD Plus for modern HD TV support, and the all-new Project Stellar Plus to add a ton of features like wireless controller support, loading ISO game files from the hard disk, or even over the network. We're actually going to put a little asterisk on that network feature for now, but we'll talk about that later. We obviously have to do the mods before we can review them. I want to start off by saying these were easier to install than I initially expected, but these are still definitely not for beginners. Unlike a lot of other HDMI mods, you have to remove the old AV port, and desoldering can be very difficult. With some hot air, a lot of flux, and a lot of patience, I did it with zero issues. But if you've never done anything like this before, you could easily mess this part up. And other than the benefit of not having to trim the shell, I don't see why we really needed to remove the old port here. We soldered the ribbon cable to the resistors over here, and I feel like it would be possible to fit an HDMI port between the AV and Ethernet jacks, but maybe the trimming that would be required would just be too difficult. Either way, I don't think it's really fair to call this mod completely reversible, since you won't be reinstalling the AV port very easily. I am being a little bit harsh though, as any quality HDMI mod like this is challenging and far from a beginner mod. Plus, after removing the port, it is definitely one of the easier HDMI mods that I've ever done. For me, the hardest part about installing the HDMI mod was removing the heat sinks, because you have to remove them to get to these resistors. Genuinely, the hardest part for me was removing the freaking plastic pieces that like hold everything together. And then even putting it back on was difficult. Plus, you're probably gonna need some new thermal paste to go with this, because the original thermal paste on mine was so dried up, I couldn't even like scrape it off of the heatsink. I scraped as much as I could off of it without hurting the metal. And then I just gave up and put the thermal paste on top of the old thermal paste and called it a day. As difficult as that part was though, the results are fantastic. But hold on. We still need to install Project Stellar Plus. I actually did this part first because the instructions tell you to, and it was also easier to install than I thought. I have a 1.6 revision Xbox, which means I had to install these pins as they were removed in the final revision. It wasn't hard to solder in at all, and this board doesn't have the infamous bad clock capacitor, so I didn't also have to buy a new one of those to replace it. That was nice. However, I did need to solder down this QSB for my 1.6 board in addition to this flex cable, but they were also super easy to install. Other than those two mods, the only other thing I changed about my Xbox was the hard drive, but not how you would have guessed. I did purchase an IDE to SATA adapter and the necessary 80-wire IDE cable to upgrade my original 10GB hard drive, but I couldn't decide between using a smaller SSD or a larger 2TB hard drive. In the end, I went with, well, neither. I bought a 160GB IDE drive for a whopping $4 from OSU's surplus store, OS Used. I love going there. Why would I do that, you might be asking? Well, I decided against using the SSD because I really wouldn't see enough of a performance boost to justify it. Plus, have you seen SSD prices lately? I'd rather put this to good use somewhere else. And even hard drives are going up in price, so I'd rather use this 2TB hard drive for another project that actually needs 2TB of storage. Because if I'm being honest, my Xbox library ain't that big, so I really don't need all that extra space. 160GB is more than enough. And while IDE drives are much slower than even a SATA hard drive, the Xbox hardware is the bottleneck here. Because even IDE read speeds are limited by the Xbox hardware. Though apparently with Project Stellar, you can do UDMA5, which I think allows for faster speeds than IDE drives can do, but I really don't know enough about that stuff. But if I'm being honest, I haven't had any complaints about load time so far, so I don't think it's a big deal at all. But what if I eventually fill up that 160 gigabyte hard drive? Oh, I'm glad you asked, because it directly ties into my next video on this channel. I've been really getting into home labbing lately, and I have a home server running all sorts of apps, from security cams to my own streaming service. And I now have a server dedicated to my ROM library, so I have all of my game files in one location to share with all my different consoles and computers. Meaning I don't need 8 SD cards, 10 hard drives, an SSD, and 3 thumb drives to put all my different ROMs on for all my different systems. I have all of my ROMs on one server in one location, and I can connect consoles with Ethernet to that server to run the game files directly from the server. For example, here is my PS2 Slim. It doesn't have a hard drive bay, and I don't have a USB drive or an SD card installed, and the disk drive is open, yet I'm able to run God of War on here because it's connected to my server that hosts all of my ROMs. We'll go more in depth in the next video, so get subscribed to see when that drops. But the reason why I use my PS2 as an example is because while the Xbox does have Ethernet and can see my ISO files on my server, it doesn't work yet. Project Stellar Plus is brand new. And even though the original Project Stellar has been out for a while, StellarOS 2.0 just dropped alongside the Plus boards, and some features had to be turned off until a future update can fix them. If you have an original Stellar board, you can be on the beta firmware and get those features back, but as of right now, Plus board owners like me can't even update to the beta software. So for now, at least, I cannot run my games off of my network, nor can I use Wi-Fi, the SD card slot, or the USB controller drivers according to the GitHub, which it's a little frustrating that I can't use my server at this time, but I would also like to complain a little bit for a second. I paid to get the original Project Stellar and the Xbox HD Plus mods as a bundle in October of 2025. Very soon after that, MakeMHZ announced that the Plus board was coming, which added features and also made the cost of the board cheaper because tariffs were making the cost of the original board to be too much. And I was upgraded to the Plus board for no additional cost, but I was gonna have to wait a little bit longer, which was cool at first, but then the launch kept getting pushed back. I was trying to be patient and understanding, but my original order was not a pre-order. Yes, I could have gotten my money back instead of waiting, but I still wanted this mod, and I was fine with waiting until February as initially announced. Of course, February came and went with no updates. Actually, I will make a correction here, and I'm gonna go a little bit easier on the guy because it looks like he got sick for a while and pushed the timeline back to the end of April. Knowing that now, I'm slightly less frustrated, but if he sent that out to everyone as an email instead of as a blog post, I wouldn't have been nearly as frustrated as I was while still waiting. But I didn't learn this until I was doing more research for this script after I already received it, because I'm sorry, I don't look at your blog posts. I don't feel like I should need to check up on the blog post every month or so when I ordered the freaking thing in October. Those kind of updates should be emailed to everyone with an outstanding order, not a blog post. I eventually got an email saying that it was on the way on April 30th, perfectly in line with the latest deadline, but it didn't actually ship. As someone who also runs an online store, RetroRemaster.com, I know that when I purchase a shipping label, not even print it out, but just purchase it, that will trigger a shipping notification to my customers, which is incredibly misleading because it will say, it's on the way. But in reality, the label doesn't physically exist yet. So halfway through May, I nicely asked for a timeline. I got a generic answer. And then 1 month after that, on June 20th, I finally got my hands on it. I wasn't going to rant about all that initially because it doesn't really matter for my review. You can go buy it right now and it should arrive in a reasonable amount of time. And honestly, I was over it once I got it, until I spent hours trying to figure out how to get my Xbox to run games off of my server because it's a freaking advertised feature that apparently is disabled. And the only place that I could find that says that anywhere is his GitHub page. It just feels like I gotta be the man's FBI agent to get an update on the thing I bought. The TLDR is I waited a long time, there was a serious lack of communication, and the product that I received is still incomplete. But at least now I can share that information with you, and you shouldn't have to wait as long. The question is it worth it? Or rather, will it be worth it when it's finished? I think so. I've had my RetroTink 5X Pro for a long time now, and that's the main way I play my original Xbox. I don't even have the regular RCA cables for it anymore. At least I have no idea where they are if I still have them. So I thought the Xbox HD Plus would look very similar to the output of the RetroTink 5X Pro, with the benefit of only needing one HDMI cable and not having to plug it into an adapter to improve the picture quality. I was wrong. This is a significant improvement over the RetroTink 5X Pro and leagues above RCA cables. I have to steal composite gameplay from YouTube because even if I still had the cables or went out and bought some more, I no longer have the AV port in the console. So I got all of my 5X Pro footage the day before installing these mods. That's really the only downside to installing this mod in my eyes. But then again, it was nice not having to trim the shell, because look how nice these games look. This is HDTV support, Bill. However, I'm a little less sold on Project Stellar Plus. Obviously, it's frustrating not having all the promised features at launch. But beyond that, there are still a few improvements that I'd like to see. I love that wireless controller support is here. Even though I kind of like how the Duke feels in my hands, it's nice to be able to just grab my Series X controller and have it turn on the console when I turn on the controller. But please, please, please give me a setting to turn off the freaking speaker so I don't have to hear the loud beeps that go off when a controller connects and disconnects. It was driving me crazy just hearing the beep, beep, beep over and over again when I was troubleshooting my freaking Xbox, because when I couldn't get the games to load, it was just a black screen, and then I have to turn off the console so it beeps when the controller disconnects, and then it would beep again once the controller reconnected. I just ended up plugging in a wired controller after that. Ooh. Or I was able to actually use the OGX Mini that I made like a year ago on this channel, the project that I used for my PS3, but was originally used so you could use pretty much any controller you want with the original Xbox. And I just happen to have one of those OG Xbox controller adapters that go to like USB-C. And using my Series X controller that way worked just as well as Bluetooth without the loud beeps. Also, whenever I'm turning off the console and using a wireless controller, the Xbox controller goes back into pairing mode where it's trying to find a console to turn on or connect to, and turning off the console, having it go into that mode just makes the console turn back on again. And I know I could turn off the setting that makes it so I can turn on the Xbox with a controller, but I like that feature. I just don't want it to turn it back on after I just turned it off. It causes a loop that can only be broken if I physically remove the batteries from the controller. Maybe just make it so you can't turn on the controller again with a wireless controller after turning it off for like 2 minutes or so, or however long it takes for the Xbox controller to give up on finding a console. Otherwise, I don't know why anybody would want to use the Xbox On feature with a wireless controller, unless I'm the only person who doesn't remove the batteries once you're done gaming for the day. And while we're talking about it, I can't get HDMI CEC to work. It wasn't a feature I was expecting, but I'd like to have it, and it's listed on the website, but it's not working. At least I can't get it to work, but I also don't see like a setting anywhere. Maybe I'm blind, I don't know. And that brings me to another thing I'd like to see. While there is a lot of information on the support page, and that's awesome, I would love to see some written guides for how to back up your games, how to connect to your network, and how to get Insignia up and running. Things to help people like me who are very new to Xbox mods. One of the reasons why I chose Project Stellar is because I wanted a hardware mod that's already set up with easy to use software, rather than using some other software mod that achieves the same thing. Yet I spent 3 hours installing these mods and numerous hours troubleshooting the software side of it because of a lack of communication and information. As far as the rest of the features, I don't really care about them. You can look at the listing yourself to learn more about what else the mods can do. And out of those remaining features, I do think Insignia support is cool. For those who don't know, Insignia is the new age fan-made Xbox Live service. So you can play games like Halo online with other real people on your original Xbox. That is super cool, and having streamlined support for it is nice, but I'm probably never going to use it. And I don't think it's necessary to explore in this video because Insignia is not made by MakeMHZ, and you can access this from other mods. I would like to mention one last thing though. If you already have the original Project Stellar and want the extra features added in the Plus model, there is an add-on board available so you can get those new features, which I think is awesome. I wish more companies were like that. I'm also excited to see what new features we will have in the future, but I'm not trying to speculate here today. I don't think you should be buying things on what's promised, but rather for what it already has now. Hence the frustration with the missing features. But what do you guys think of the Xbox HD Plus and the Project Stellar Plus? Let me know in those comments down below. And while you're down there, what game should I pick up as an original Xbox noob? I mainly got this for Crazy Taxi 3, and I'm kind of digging Fable. If you want to see the pain and suffering I went through to install these mods, there is a very long video on the second channel right now, Jake64. I cut 3.5 hours of footage down, and it's still one of my longest videos ever. But that's about it for me. So like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys. Since I have HDMI mods in pretty much all of my consoles now, I think I might sell my RetroTink 5X Pro. I'm still debating it, but you might want to go check the garage sale side of my website, retroremaster.com, if you're interested in buying it from me.